Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our BlueJeans 5 Key Questions to Ask Before Choosing an Interop Solution webinar. My name is Gabrielle, and I'm going to be your moderator this afternoon. Today, I'm joined by Casey Hammer, Director of IT over at JLG Architects, and Mataz Saad, Product Marketing Manager here at BlueJeans. But before I pass it off to Casey and Mataz, I would like to go over just a couple housekeeping items for you. For today's webinar, we are using our BlueJeans Events product. So right now, all attendees are in a one-way viewing experience. But if you have any technical issues during the webinar, you can post them in the moderator chat feature, which you can find in the right-hand navigation. And if you have any questions about today's topic, you can ask them in the Q&A feature located in the same right-hand side. Casey and Mataz will address those at the end of the presentation. And finally, the session will be recorded and sent out to everyone in an email shortly after the event. And I will turn it over to our presenters.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm Mataz. As Gabrielle mentioned, I'm the Product Marketing Manager here at BlueJeans, and I'm super excited here to be talking to Casey Hammer from JLG Architects. He's been with us for a long time, working together with us with our Gateway products. So we're super excited to have him share his experience for the BlueJeans CVI with the rest of you here. So JLG Architects is actually one of the most innovative architecture firms in the US, and Casey is the head of IT there. Casey, if you wouldn't mind just starting off by telling us what your role is and what your goals are in your role to start off with, and then we'll go into the other aspects of your team's deployment and the CVI.
Yes, of course. Thank you. So again, Casey Hammer, IT Director, JLG Architects. So really, day to day, it's just kind of shuffling through the strategy for the company as a whole. But then again, really, I meet with all of the different business parts and project teams to really help them innovate for a better, more efficient processes, and really keep an ear to the ground as far as what technology is most likely to serve us in the future. And recently, there's been a lot of that's been, AI, machine learning, DevOps, and how all of that can relate. But communication and collaboration has been of the highest and most important in solving that and making sure that it works really well for our geographically diverse locations. So that's just a little snippet. Seems to change every day.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so let's start things off. I know you're fully deployed on Microsoft Teams, and that gets a lot of interest with our prospects and our customers. So tell us a little bit about your Microsoft Teams strategy and why that was so important, and what was the reasoning behind it.
Yeah, so really up front, the issue was conferencing. Aging phone system, what's the future look like, things of that nature. And then really that fit under kind of one of the most important tenets for me is just trying to shuffle everything together into less tools. There's 3 or 4 tools to collaborate, 3 or 4 tools to get the project work done. And this kind of fell into that as I found it. So it's first just consolidation, getting that more of a one-stop shop feeling. But then also, as we investigated it and researched it, we actually stood to gain more features for the same price that we would have been renewing what we currently had and then maintaining it over time. And so it was really clear picture. And really, again, it just comes down to not needing to go into 3 different apps to get the job done. Whether you're having a phone call over here or a meeting over here, you don't need to leave the environment.
Great. And you're fully deployed in terms of Teams throughout your organization right now, as far as I understand?
Yes, so it was a lot of research and then also kind of waiting started in 2017. But after the research, after kind of realizing and shuffling through all of the chaos that licensing Office 365 is, once you get your head around it, it's like makes a lot of sense. But over that time, we switched, and in February of 2019, WebEx was put to rest, and same with our Cisco CUCM system was all put to rest. put out there, and it helped even more being able to continue to use some of our endpoints. So been fully deployed here, and it's been very good decision and a lot of good feedback on quality and things of that nature. So.
Yeah, and so going back to what you just said, that you had a lot of Cisco endpoints spread throughout all your offices. I believe 25 conference rooms all having Cisco endpoints, and they couldn't connect to Microsoft Teams. So when and why so I guess that's why you were starting to consider options for enabling Teams in these rooms. So at what stage were you considering it when you were thinking about your Teams deployment? And why was it so urgent for you, essentially?
So essentially, actually, conferencing kind of led the discussion even towards Teams, towards the CVI solution. Let me. So it came in early. So the issue was, I mean, obviously there's training and retraining and helping through the last 10 minutes or 10 minutes late in a meeting just to help people get going through WebEx. Yeah. What's my number? How to program? So that was one big solution I wanted to solve right away, and it caught my eyes searching for a solution. So really early on, it really led a lot of the discussion. There wasn't even necessarily a thought of changing out a phone system yet when we started investigating conferencing. How do we make this better? How do we make it so that they can just walk in and hit one button and sit down? So it was really forward in our minds when we were doing all of this.
Yep. So essentially, what the CVI is for everyone who's listening in today, BlueJeans Gateway is a Cloud Video Interop solution, or otherwise known as CVI, that connects Microsoft Teams meetings to standard-based room systems, H323 or SIP-based endpoints like Cisco, Poly, Lifesize. So whatever standard-based room systems you currently already have, if you wanted to bring Teams meetings into it, all you need to do is install a gateway. We're a Microsoft certified partner, and we developed this solution with Microsoft so that Teams can be used on these meeting systems. And that's essentially why this is so easy, as Casey mentioned, that users wouldn't have to like dial a string or dial an address in order to like start a meeting, a Teams meeting. They would get the same best experience that they have on a desktop Teams meeting on this Cisco Room endpoint as well. So it doesn't require Teams training and retraining. It has the same capabilities, and it also ensures a lot of cost savings because you're not having to replace some of these endpoints that you've invested in so heavily on.
Yes, exactly. So I mean, it was as simple as we needed Teams. We had decided it was a great idea, but we needed these extra features that Microsoft wasn't going to handle themselves, and BlueJeans did an amazing job, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. So
yeah. So we do know that there are like options of CVI partners that you can go with. We are one, and there's a couple of others as well. I wanted to hear your perspective on how you assessed what the right solution would be to go with when you were considering it.
So after we had decided that Teams was really the way we wanted to go, we wanted to find a solution to not lose the investment of the Cisco endpoints. So the Cisco Tandberg equipment, SX, depending on what generation you're at, I mean, it's not a cheap investment. So it had some life in it. So we really wanted to find a way, first of all, that we could continue to use that equipment in our conference spaces. And then second of all, is more of a rider to that. Since we were switching phones, we really wanted to be able to shut down the Cisco system at the same time. And as I was running through each one of these, what I'd found is there's a lot more that they wanted to throw on. And now I say that not knowing what their current offering is. So we'll just keep that in mind. But at the time, there was more of an all-encompassing, we want to sell you all of our product as a lot of the other ones. And BlueJeans was more of the one that didn't mind being in the middle and connecting the two of us together. And it made it a really easy solution. And then in reaching out to the company and working with them, just the responses we got and how easy the process was just kind of sealed the deal.
Awesome. Glad you had a good experience with us. How are you assessing the success of this? I know you mentioned that, or you had spoken to me earlier about the fact that, your support tickets and so on had really gone down. And are there any metrics you're tracking that really helps in assessing how successful the solution has been?
Well, the first one is, how many times have I been yelled at today? Unfortunately. But no, really. So the first things that we were just trying to see as far as assessment is how many tickets or calls did we get involving the meeting rooms. Mm-hmm. That's the first thing we saw take a dip. So when it's as easy as it's already on the screen, they walk in and they hit the button, we actually did found that gave us an effect that we wanted it to. So from there, a little bit more pushing to make sure that they were starting early instead of late and things like that. It was just as simple as process. Really, that was the most simple KPI that I could point to, is the less tickets from having to help people through, less training them, and the minimal in phone calls, but then also hearing the feedback. We talk to our beta group, and then we further have continued to listen to our staff about, do you like it? What's wrong with it? What's missing? Do you have any problems? And actually, the feedback's been quite well. And even through the BlueJeans Gateway, the audio quality, video quality, it's been really solid, and we've gotten a lot of good feedback based on that as far as an improvement of the past.
Awesome. So in terms of actually for your experience, I know the end user experience you said has been pretty good, but in terms of deploying the BlueJeans Gateway, you were one of our earlier customers, so you were part of the Microsoft TAP program. So you worked out a lot of like the initial kinks that we had with us, but overall, your experience deploying the BlueJeans Gateway, knowing full well that you have this enormous Teams project going on at the same time, how was that for you? If you could share it with our audience today.
So outside of that, it being maybe a little bit different than what you might experience now, it's probably even more streamlined than when we were in the beta program, but it was really easy to deploy. So just a few functional skills in PowerShell, having a spot to install one tool within the system, which is just relaying from the internet to your endpoints. It's really quick, really easy, and if you aren't comfortable with it, BlueJeans was more than willing to lend a hand in stepping through the process, but they did a really good job of just making a KB that walked through it for those of us that kind of just would rather do it ourselves. So kind of full circle. If you've done things in PowerShell in on servers and things of that nature, this is just going to be hand in hand with what you do every day, and it's just going to go quick.
Yeah, and a part of it comes, I think, because we are a completely SaaS-based solution. We don't have like additional VMs that you have to manage and install or get, or so there's like no on-prem aspect to this either. So we try to keep it as simple. Like you said, there's a self-installation options if you wanted to install yourselves, or we would be able to support you with a CSM or an onboarding manager to help you do that. So, I guess like we're almost at the end of our conversation around what the questions I had for you. But lastly, if you wanted to have any recommendations for our attendees or any last takeaways that you think that we should all know in terms of enabling Teams in room systems and why that is critical and urgent, if you would like to share with us, that'd be great.
Well, the one thing that I'd urge is, and I'm sure many of you have seen this in the market now, that with Microsoft kind of just rolling with their Office, it's kind of like it's a freight train kind of coming down. It's like either jump on or you get run over. And that's the way I've kind of been looking at it. And but for good reasons, I'm sure, too. They didn't feel like they were going to be master of everything. So that's where BlueJeans comes in to fill in some gaps. But one of the most important things that I would say is you're considering the video, the phones, the meetings, the gateway, and other BlueJeans tie-ins is just start at the bottom, make sure you get that right in the Office world, that's Exchange. Just make sure as you give yourself a nice starting point And then this is going to be so easy to add on and nominal as far as costs of what they could be, that it's just going to make sense. It's going to make sense right away. So again, it's just a good setup. As long as you have, you've been taking care of your environment and things of that nature, this is so easy. So again, just as you would imagine anyways in our technology world, garbage in, garbage out. So just take care of your, as long as things are in order, this is just so easy, and it's probably the best takeaway.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Casey. We are going to go into Q&A now. So please, on the right side of your screen, and insert your question for either me or Casey to answer. I'll read out the questions and we'll start answering them. So the first one we have here is, did you deploy the BlueJeans relay service for the single button join, or did you use the Cisco TMS? Casey, I believe you did install the relay one touch, and that's why it was so simple and easy for everyone to use.
Correct. Yep. No, we didn't have access to TMS at the time, and it was such a huge add-on. Again, it just kind of goes back. We were trying to shut down the Cisco system itself. So relay was just installed on one of our already running utility servers, and it's just so that you don't have to open up your firewall. If you really think about it, it is what it is. It's just a relay out to the web, and they have the secured connection. So it was really the smallest part of what we had to do, and it was quick. So
great. Is there a BlueJeans technical deployment guide available for administrators? Yes, it is. It is on our support site. If you just go in, you'd find the admin guide for the BlueJeans Gateway. If you need more information, just give us a call on our contact us form or like our support site, and we'd reach back out to you in order to answer your questions. So Manfred asked, do you use your Cisco rooms as endpoints? And I believe this is for you, Casey. Do you use your Cisco rooms as endpoints by SIP H223 without CUCM, VCS, TMS in the background?
Yes, we certainly do. So they're all connecting through the gateway, no head end. They're H323, non-registered. We did register them for regular phones for a little while, but after we shut down the system, really, it's just that gateway, it's just the H323, so we didn't need anything else.
Awesome. Any pricing info available for comparison with other vendors? We're happy to provide pricing info. If you just reach back out to us, it depends on what your environment looks like, but we do offer flexibility in terms of licensing, so you can do it as named host, you can do it for the whole enterprise, or you can do it as concurrent ports as well. I will say that often we do hear a lot from the industry that our pricing is very competitive because we are completely SaaS based. You don't need additional infrastructure in order to run our service. So reach out to us and we're happy to provide you a code. Did you move your users to BlueJeans Teams for all VC and VoIP, or are you still using a different solution for conference calls/calls? Casey, I believe that's for you.
Yep, so this was an important part to me, again, in shutting down the Cisco phone system. I wanted it to not use WebEx anymore as well. So BlueJeans is what made that a possible solution. They added that one important feature of being able to dial in from any room with the H323 gateway, which allowed, we really wanted to make sure our clients could call in, regardless of what they used, regardless if they wanted to join browser or otherwise. That was why we chose the solution first and foremost, is to centralize that.
Great. The last question I have is, the solution work with Polytrio 8800 Visual Plus? I'm actually not sure what their standard is, so I know that the gateway works on any standard base like H323 or SIP endpoint. I'm not aware of what the Polytrio 8800 supports. So
I can answer that.
Yeah.
So if the Trio, so the one thing I don't know about the Trios is, can it dial H323 non-registered? I imagine it can. If it can, it'll work. Otherwise, I do know the Trio 8800 has the software update now, and it's a Teams client,
Right.
But then the Visual Plus does not work yet. So I have to imagine that as long as it can dial H323 with video, that it'll work just fine, just like our Cisco endpoints work though.
Right, and if it already has a Teams client, like you said, or it enables a Teams client, like I believe you don't need the gateway anymore because it
Right,
will
the
just do a
caveat
Teams
being the
native.
video doesn't work yet.
Exactly. Yeah. Thank you for that. Can you please tell me if we can retain the mobile number? Do you support the interoperability with the carriers? I'm quite not sure what mobile number you mean, Rahul. If you're talking about calls through voice.
Oh, can you port in a mobile phone number?
I believe we do not do
if
that.
That's what it is. Can you keep and retain your phone numbers? It depends on the carrier in the US. And so it would be kind of something you'd have to check with them. Like here, if it's a large carrier, they basically have to allow porting, but if it's small, municipal, or tiny one, they don't have to allow it. So it's kind of, you have to follow up with whoever owns your phone numbers or your DNs.
Thanks for that. Do you have clients or run examples with video room endpoint systems SIP compatible to ensure CVI to Teams? Well, as far as I know, we match about 19,000 different models of SIP or H233 rooms. So if this is a regular SIP endpoint that you're talking about through video, then I'm sure we can make that happen with the BlueJeans Gateway.
SIP is also available. It's just SIP has to be registered to something. That's the main thing, or at least in my experience so far.
Yeah.
So if you have a system with SIP and a path to the internet, it should work.
Right. And then, Rahul confirmed your answer, Casey. Cool. So we'll give it a couple of more minutes in case you guys will have any more questions. Lots of great questions. Thank you. Oh, one plug. If you wanted to try the BlueJeans Gateway, now that we're waiting for more questions, we have currently an offer where you can just try it out. So all you need to do is go to try a meeting, bluejeans.com/gateway/try a meeting, and you'll just give us your contact. We'll send you an invite. You have a 4-hour window to try the BlueJeans Gateway. Nothing else to install. You don't need to fix your tenant or anything. And it's a very simple way to just try the BlueJeans Gateway. Does the Gateway require any on-prem service or listener to work? You do need a listener service in order to connect it, but it's very simple. It takes I don't know, Casey, what your experience was just to install. You already had it, I think, installed in the on your server, right? But it's a very simple.
So the one button to push requires the listener. But the gateway you can use, but I don't see why you would separate them. So
right, it's not a very heavy service that you'd need to install, and it doesn't take a long time. Yeah.
I think it's under a meg, to be honest. It's like this tiny little tool. All it does is allows a path to the scheduling.
Yeah.
So.
Give it one more minute for any other questions.
And I know we didn't mention it very much, but the command center or the admin center, there's for those of you that do a lot of development and coding, there's a large extensive API that you can interact with. So if you use other solutions to set up your system, that is out there, and it was interesting for us to find how extensive that is, and all of BlueJeans' platform has this extensive API that could be very useful for some of the coders out there.
Thanks. Can you please repeat the free trial URL? Yes, and I'm also posting it on your question. It is www.bluejeans.com/microsoft-gateway/try-meeting. Sorry about the long URL. If you just Google as well BlueJeans Microsoft Gateway try a meeting, this will also show up. But Dan, I've also replied on your question for anyone else who's interested. And Gabs, if you don't mind, if you could share this link as well when we send out the email for after.
Yeah, it's already in that follow-up email. So you guys will get the try a meeting link right there, as well as the recording of this session.
Awesome.
Well,
Is it possible to customize the domain for the CVI service with BlueJeans? What do you mean by domain?
The link at the end, I think they mean.
Okay, so we do offer a custom URL available for you to use. You can, yes.
Cool. Well, if there are no more questions, thank you so much to both of you for taking the time out of your day. This was super interesting, and we got a lot of really good questions. So if anyone thinks of anything else afterward that they didn't think of during the presentation, you can feel free to ask via just reply to the email that you get your follow-ups to, or you can ask in the comment section on the recording as well, and the right person will reach out to you as soon as possible and get you all the information you need. So keep your eyes peeled. We have about every couple of months webinars on our team's gateway. So for those of you interested, we will be sending out communications in the future. Thanks to both of you guys, and have a great rest of your afternoon.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.